Guys, this is Subu Medicine, and today we'll be discussing about the female reproductive systems. So, before we go to the physiology aspect of the female reproductive systems, let's quickly, discuss the structures, okay? So, you guys know the primary sex organ for female is what? The primary sex organ, you see this right here? All of this? Okay, this is your what? This is your ovary, okay? Let me write it down here, all right? So, this is my ovary. Right? This is the primary sex organ. And the reason why we call this primary sex organ is because this ovary is going to, have those cells that's going to synthesize, ovum. And also it has some endocrine functions also, okay? And we'll discuss about this. So that is the reason why we call them a primary sex organ, all right? So this part right here, I just zoomed in and I kind of made it really big, and we'll discuss about what these cells are. But this is going to be ovary here, right? And then look, let's just label this. This one is right here, okay? This is called fallopian tube, okay? Or also called as uterine tube, all right? This one. And look, this part right here, we specifically call them infundibulum, right? Let me write it down. And then this one is the finger-like projection. It's called fimbriae, okay? Right here. And this is the uterine tube right here, okay? And what is this, guys, okay? So this is what uterus. This is uterus, okay? Or also, there's another name for uterus. It's called hysteria, okay? That is the reason why whenever we remove the uterus, we call them hysterectomy, okay? And whenever we remove this fallopian tube or this uterine tube, what do you call that? We call them a salpinge. Okay, let me write down this. It's called salpingectomy, right? That's what it's called. Salpingectomy, that's what it's called, okay? Whenever we remove this uterine tube. This uterus is called, this is uterus, another name is hysteria, also another name is called womb. They also call this, right? Just know all of them. And remember, there are two fallopian tubes, all right? So that's what you have to remember. So, usually the uterus, this upper part right here, we call them a fundus, all right? We call them a fundus. And this part here is a body. And this neck area is what's known as your, let's write down here. This is going to be my cervix right here, okay? And cervix is one of the most important muscular organ, okay? It is a sphincter, and it has a very, very important function. Because you see this right here, okay? This is opening at the uterus, the cervix, okay? The neck area right here. This is opening at the uterus, so we call them internal os. And this one right here, this cervix is opening at this. This is your vagina, okay? And this is called, which is opening at, the cervix is opening at the vagina. We call them external os, okay? Because remember, the sperm will have to sort of kind of move upward through this external os to get inside here, okay? Because it has to travel all the way down here for the fertilization to occur, okay? And we'll discuss that more in fertilization lecture, right? Now, these are just some of the, okay? These are some of the structures of the uterus, okay? So what we're gonna do now, right, is that, we have to discuss, okay, from your hypothalamus, okay, from your brain, hypothalamus, and this is ovary and uterus axis. What is going to happen? Because remember, the master regulations of those, this ovaries is actually coming from the hypothalamus, okay? So we have to discuss, whenever we talk about the physiology of it, we have to discuss about the let's write it down here. What is this? Because there's a brain right here, right? There's a brain, there's your cerebellum, what is this? This is going to be your midbrain right here, pons right here, and this medulla, right? And then down here, around this part right here, okay, you're going to see this structure right here, like this. This is going to be my hypothalamus right here, right? And which is sitting at this bone called sella turcica bone. So if I just took this out and drew here, okay? So if I did that, so you see this hypothalamus right here? And the hypothalamus right here, these are the different nuclei that you get to see, okay? And these different nuclei that you get to see in hypothalamus, these are called, okay, let me write it down. These nuclei are called arcuate nuclei, okay? Because this arcuate nuclei is the one that has the cell bodies to synthesize, okay, that is going to go and work on these anterior cells. These are anterior pituitary, this is posterior pituitary, okay? So what is going to happen is that the arcuate nucleus, and also there are other nucleus like preoptic nucleus or paraventricular nucleus, they do have a cell bodies to synthesize, okay, this hormone that's going to regulate the cells that are located in the anterior pituitary. And these cells, the blue cells are called gonadotropes, okay? These are called gonadotropes. Because remember, the gonads, think about the word gonads, okay? So this hormone, this arcuate nucleus is, secreting. It is called gonadotropin, okay? Gonadotropin, it's going to be releasing hormone, okay? So basically this is called gonadotropin releasing hormone, all right? So these gonadotropin releasing hormones, all right, that has a receptors in the anterior pituitary and the gonadotropes, and these gonadotropes is the one that is going to synthesize very, very two important, there are two important, very, very two important, let's write down, hormones, okay, and that is called, let me write down here, one is called FSH and other one is called LH, all right? What does FSH means? FSH basically means follicle stimulating hormone, and LH means luteinizing hormone, okay? So both of those. Now, so far we discussed about the hypothalamus anterior, and we have talked about ovary, and then the uterus, what is going to happen. So we're going to have to discuss about all these four parts, okay, what is happening here. So, look, what are these cells right here, okay? Because first, let's discuss about two things. We'll discuss about oogenesis and also discuss about the folliculogenesis, okay? Because remember, these cells right here, okay? Because let's talk about oogenesis, okay? So, you see this ovary right here, okay? This ovary has two parts, all right? This ovary, okay, let's just quickly talk. Let me draw it here, actually. It makes it easier for you guys. Let's say this is my ovary right here, okay? If this is my ovary, all right? This ovary has this surface epithelium, or we also call them a germinal epithelium. Now it's more known, it's called surface epithelium rather than germinal epithelium, okay? And this is in the surface area. And then after that, there's also one more cells are lining here. There's a dense irregular connective tissue, and that is called tunica albuginea, okay? And below that, you see the two area, okay? This part, like, there's a middle area right here. This is called, okay? This is called your inner medulla, okay? And this outside, which is below the tunica albuginea, that is called your cortex, okay? So this part right here, right? This part right here, this circle right here, this is going to be inner medulla. Outside of this is going to be your peripheral cortex. And that cortex is the one that contains all these follicles, cells, okay, to synthesize. Let's say we'll talk about that, what they're going to synthesize. But just know that this cortex is the one that contains all these cells, these cells that we're going to discuss right now. The process in which the oogenesis and, okay, the folliculogenesis that happens in the cortex. The medulla right here, that contains like lymph vessels, nerves, and blood vessels, okay? So just remember that. All right, so now, after a little bit about this, okay, a little bit about that, we'll talk about this, okay? You see like this right down here, we'll talk about the process of the oocytes, okay? So let's say this cell from the primary yolk sac, okay, during your intrauterine life, some of the germ cells, they migrate into this ovary, okay? Remember, what is going to happen? Let's just write down here. So those germ cells, okay, we'll say these are those germ cells because you got it from mom and you got it from father, right? So because of that, they are diploid, right? Diploid. And what happens is that this diploid, okay, let's say this is my, right here, this is going to be my oogonia, okay? So what is going to happen is that this will, and this is still happening in the intrauterine life, okay? These germ cells, okay, when it comes to yolk sac right here, okay, it becomes oogonia. And what is going to happen is that, okay, first they grow, like meaning like mitosis will occur, okay? And this mitosis, when the mitosis will occur, what is going to happen? These guys will convert into, look, primary oocytes, all right? Basically means growth of this happens, where basically, okay, there is going to be the number of chromosomes, okay, it's still going to be 2n, okay, but the DNA will be multiplied into 4n. That's what it's going to become, okay? So this is going to get converted to primary oocytes, all right? And then after that, okay, what is going to happen is that the meiosis process will occur, okay? Now, even the meiosis process, that is still happens, okay, meiosis 1 here, right? So meiosis 1, that takes place in the intrauterine life, okay, when it comes to a female. And this primary oocytes, okay, what is going to happen is that it will go, okay, and look, the primary oocytes, what is going to happen is that these oocytes, the primary oocytes, they will start, doing the process of this, this prophase, anaphase, all that phases, okay? So when they do that, what is going to happen here is that, this, during the process of this meiosis process, these guys will sort of get arrested at a position which is a prophase 1, okay? And this prophase 1 is going to be they say this is a diplotin stage of a prophase 1. That's where this primary oocytes get arrested. What does that diplotin means? Diplotin basically means there are different stages of this primary oocytes, okay? Sorry, the different stages of the prophase, all right? So diplotin is like the 4 stages of this prophase number 1. Okay, so that's where this meiosis, this primary oocytes will get arrested. And that happens during intrauterine life, okay? And when female, when they hit the puberty, okay, that is when, they'll complete this meiosis 1, and then they will become what? We can simply call that they'll convert into haploid or secondary oocytes, okay? But remember, these secondary oocytes, they complete this, okay? This primary oocyte gets completed, okay, when female hit the puberty, okay? So now let's say the female is like 13, 14 years old, okay? So when she hits that period, she ovulates, obviously, right? And then she completes this cycle, all right? And what is going to happen? Then after that, she continues with another process, which is the meiosis 2, okay? So basically, look, in this process, what is going to happen here? In the meiosis process, again, same thing, the prophase, anaphase, all that kind of takes place. But here, what is going to happen is that, they try to do, like cytodifferentiation and all, okay? But what is going to happen is that this secondary oocytes, they do not complete. What happens is that they get arrested, okay? During the process of prophase, metaphase. Actually, in the metaphase, they don't further continue. They just get arrested there, okay? That's what is going to happen. So remember, this is very important. They might ask in exams. Primary oocytes, look. Primary oocytes basically, okay, this is on the intrauterine life. They go through the process of meiosis, but they get arrested at the prophase 1, okay? And once they hit the puberty, they will complete this meiosis 1 cycle. Then they will hit the secondary oocytes. And the secondary oocytes will start doing the meiosis 2 process, okay, of this prophase, anaphase, the crossing overs, and cytodifferentiation. That's what's going to happen. But remember, at the metaphase number 2, that's where, they get arrested, okay? So, the completions of secondary oocyte does not happen. The secondary oocyte completion happens when? If they know that the sperm is arriving at the ampulla regions, okay? Then, that's the only time this secondary oocyte will complete this cycle, let's say, okay? And it will become just a mature ovum, right? That's what it's going to become. But remember this whole cycle, okay? this whole cycle is something that you have to remember. And this whole cycle is what we call them oogenesis, okay? In men, we say spermatogenesis because we make a sperm, right? But remember one more thing. In this process, okay, whenever it becomes secondary oocyte, it becomes one, but at the same time, you make a one big cell, but you make another small cell, and that is called polar body. And usually this polar body that degenerates, okay? And then, when the secondary oocytes completes, they do divide and they may multiply, because remember, this polar body does not multiply. When the secondary oocyte does, they can also make another two other cells, okay? 2 other smaller cells, and those are called polar bodies, so 2 polar bodies. So altogether you're making about 3 polar bodies, all right? So just letting you guys know. But the most important thing is that, okay, you're only making this one ovum. Usually sperm, how many sperm we make, okay? Usually from 4 of them, right? That's what you make, right? But here you only make 1 ovum. All right, and this process is called oogenesis. All right, now you should remember this. Remember the prophase 1 getting arrested, okay? And then also remember, if let's say if there's no presence of sperm, then what is going to happen? They get arrested in metaphase 2, and they do not complete the cycle. They do not get converted into mature ovum. Okay, now after this little bit of oogenesis, okay, we have to talk about. This part is what's known as called folliculogenesis, okay? So remember, so if you see right here, see in this orange here, this is my oocyte here, okay? And then you see on top of them, okay, what is this? This is you're gonna see this cell down here, which is a flattened type of cells, okay? This is sort of when this oocytes comes here, okay, that there are connective tissue around this, and they kind of make a layers, okay? And single layers of this flattened epithelium as you're going to get to see, okay? And this oocyte is lined by this, okay? The single layer of this epithelium, okay? Cuboidal epithelium. This is what is this called is, okay? These cells in this blue, we call them a granulosa cells, okay? What do you call them? Let me write it. We call them a granulosa cell, okay? And this is going to be my oocytes in the middle. Okay, so every month, okay, for female, okay, what is going to happen is that, somehow, there's the cells near here, okay, they have lots of the cells. They're kind of like a fibroblast like a cells, okay. They have those cells called stromal cells, okay, stromal cells. And what they do is they do a lot of those nutrients and the growth functions, okay? And what they do have the cells around here too. And what they do is that, okay, automatically every month, what is going to happen for the female is that, these will start giving a growth and stimulate the cells. And what is going to happen? When they stimulate the cell, they will convert this follicle, okay? This follicle with a single flattened epithelium, okay, with the stromal cells, we call them a primordial follicles, okay? What do we call them? This is called primordial follicles, okay? Now, with the proliferations, okay, this is going to get converted into this follicle, which is now, this single is lots of multiple layers of the granulosa cells and oocytes here, okay? So these cells is called your primary, this is called your primary follicles, okay? So remember, here, the growth of this, okay, the growth of or the proliferations of this primordial cell happen because there is the stromal cells and they secretes, okay, the growth factors, or they are, they provide nutrients. So based on that, these guys are multiplying and proliferating and converting into primary follicles, okay? But remember, this process is not stimulated by what is this called? Your FSH, okay? So just remember that. Now after this, what is going to happen? In the primary follicles, these cells, granulosa cells, okay, these steps from the primary follicles to moving to this steps, this is called, let me write down. This is called secondary follicles, okay? This process is, okay, this process is enhanced by this hormone, which is called FSH, right? Let me write it down here. So this process right here, okay, right here, this part, FSH, right here. This process is, okay, converting from the primary follicles to secondary follicles is is determined by this level of FSH, okay? And because the FSH is one that's going to stimulate these cells, the granulosa cells, and these granulosa cells are going to start proliferating, okay? But not only that, in the presence of this primary follicles, this follicular stimulating hormones, there is also dense, there are going to be like cells nearby, okay? They're going to start making layers of these cells, okay? And this is, look, you guys already know this, right? These cells right here, okay? This is your granulosa cell. You know what this green cells is called? This green cells is called, look, these are called TIKA. It's called TIKA, okay? TIKA cells, let's write down, okay? These are called TIKA cells. And remember, these TIKA cells further multiplies, and then, it makes two layers of cells, which are called TIKA interna and TIKA externa. What is the concept of TIKA interna and TIKA externa? TIKA interna, let me just say this. TIKA interna is the one that has a receptor for this hormone, the luteinizing hormone, okay? TIKA externa is playing more, TIKA externa role is as more like a supporting cells, okay? It has the collagens and all. So, remember this TIKA interna, okay, if you can remember both of them, just remember there's a TIKA cells, and this TIKA cells has a receptor for LH hormone, okay? And remember, on the stimulations, on the presence of this FSH, this granulosa, this oocytes, they started making this layer, okay? There's a glycoprotein layer. It's non-cellular layer, and this layer, okay, this layer, I'm going to draw in red. This actually, let me draw in red. This layer right here, it makes it right here, okay? This layer is very, very important layer. This is called zona pellucida. All right? That's what it's going to make. So remember this, guys. Because this FSH is stimulating, okay, this granulosa cell, and this granulosa cells is what? Proliferating, all right? And then at the same time, okay, it's also stimulating this oocytes to, secretes like this glycoprotein, which is called zona pellucida, okay? And it is making a layer on this, okay, on the plasma membrane of this oocytes, okay? Because this is plasma membrane right here, this is oocytes, all right? And then this is called zona pellucida, right? And this granulosa cell, okay? Look, what is this granulosa cell is going to do? These granulosa cells has a lot of functions, okay? Because these granulosa cells will importantly, okay, produce, okay? Look, very, very important. One is estrogen. It will make estrogen right here, okay? And we'll talk about how they make estrogen, okay? Not only they'll make estrogen, they also make, okay, something called anti-Mullerian hormone. And you have to remember this, okay? This is not Mullerian inhibiting factor, okay? It's not MI. This is called anti-Mullerian hormone, okay? And what is the importance of this anti-Mullerian hormones? These guys, anti-Mullerian hormone, what is it? They suppresses, okay? They suppress the recruitment of the other follicles, the other primordial follicles, okay? So that way, what is going to happen is that way, the other primordial follicles does not get converted into, your primary follicles and others, okay? Because we cannot have, like, lots of this folliculogenesis occurring, okay? So this hormone sort of like, suppresses that. And this hormone, anti-Mullerian hormone, has a clinically importance too. These anti-Mullerian hormones is a clinical marker for something called ovarian reserve. What does this mean? Ovarian reserve basically means is that it is a way for you can determine how many oocytes are remaining in ovary to calculate or to determine the age of menopause, okay? So this can tell us that. Not only does granulosa cells produce estrogen and anti-Mullerian hormones, they also secrete, very, very important, okay, let's write down, activin, okay? And this activin is a positive stimulations, okay? They go and they stimulate this anti-pituitary to release more FSH. That's what they do. Not only that, okay, they also secrete, very, very important, inhibin B. Look, this inhibin B is what? It's a negative feedback that can give you to right here to reduce your FSH level, Okay, so these are some of the hormones that you have to remember: your estrogens, your anti-malignant hormones, your activin, also your inhibin B. Okay,